Good afternoon, good morning, good evening, wherever time it is for you, and welcome to another Binary Ninja live stream. I'm Jordan, and it's good to see everybody. It's been 2 weeks, and I'm excited to be back. We got lots of good stuff. We've got a full schedule. If you saw the schedule on the countdown, there's lots of good stuff. So let's start with the news and head on over to. I gave it a name too, right? I got a little fancy. We're calling it Ninja News now. So this is we'll see if the name sticks or not. But let me know if you guys think of something better. The first bit of news I wanted to post. Well, obviously we're live, but I wanted to let everybody know that along with Margin Research, Sophia Dantuan and I are going to be doing a program analysis for vulnerability research course. This is the third time we've given this class. We've done it a couple times. We've actually each done separate trainings for many years. She's done trainings on Binary Ninja and program analysis, and we've done Binary Ninja and automation and building on top Binary Ninja. We realized there was some really nice overlap and some differences, and we thought, hey, let's combine our separate courses and make kind of one course that covers everything. So if you're interested or want more information on that, you can hop on Slack and ask us. You can check the page here. As I said, it's on. You can find it on our Twitter, the link to the sign up page and more information, the outline, all that stuff. Happy to kind of answer anything about that. Right now, it's planned to be online, and we'll see if it's reasonable to do it in person, but it's coming up pretty fast in October. I don't know if we were planning originally at one point as the pandemic settled, it looked like, oh good, we can do this in person. I really like online in-person trainings. But as of right now, that's kind of in the air. So we're definitely doing it online. In person is TBD. We'll see what it looks like. For locations, we're bouncing between, I think, Maryland, Florida, and New York even maybe. So like somewhere on the East Coast, probably the US, but didn't have a specific thing there. We've definitely already got some signups, but there's still open seats. If you click the registration link, I think it shows you, it actually keeps track of inventory. So it doesn't show you the count here. I don't think we should probably add that to that page so you can tell when it's running low. But I think there's still a number left of it. We're not Ninja or not anytime soon, but it goes quick. And what usually happens is about halfway between the announcement and the class going live, you'll start to see start to really fill up. So you got a couple more weeks probably to get your boss to go for it. But highly recommend that. That's a great class to not only teach you just about, even if you don't do vulnerability research, right? Like most of the techniques are really about program analysis, automation, using Binary Ninja to build tools to help you do RE challenges. So, several of the exercises are very applicable to lots of malware type things, or, you want to answer questions or do analysis, make any kind of automation about that. So everybody, it's quiet. There's no chat yet. You gotta let me know that you're here. I feel like I'm a little worried that am I on the right channel? I got my confidence going, but I don't see any chat yet. So definitely, if y'all are, there we go. We got at least one person watching. So thanks, Ryan. Good to see you. All right, Eric. Very good. Yeah, I have chatted with myself for several minutes before I realized the mic was out before. So, and Josh as well. Awesome. So thanks for letting me know y'all are there. That's first item on Ninja News. Next item, if you keep an eye on Twitter, I just thought this was interesting. Moyix, Brendan Dolan Gavitt posted this ridiculous control flow graph. It is he's it almost approaches abstract art at this point. There we go. Represent Mark's here. So yeah, he pasted this just absolutely monstrous control flow graph, and I thought it was pretty funny. I think I tweeted in reply, my favorite part about this is I knew if this was gonna be just a huge control flow graph, the coolest part is zoom. Yeah, that right there, right? The zoom in, zoom out. The way that looks real good in Bench. I always think that's kind of fun. I don't know how useful a control flow graph is for something like that, but maybe there's anything that big gets kind of hard to visually do anything useful with. I feel but you can do a lot more with either a linear view or bookmarks. But I mean, there's some structure there, right? You can see visually some of the stuff that stands out, and so that's actually these are all a bunch of jump table cases. Some of them are more interesting than others, so that's kind of cool. Is this a competition? A JIT in one function. I would, yeah, I would like to see a MIPS JIT in a single function. I mean, that's what, state machines and emulators, JITs, yeah. But they like inline it all too. They didn't even like call out, like they literally did everything in the function. That's impressive. So that was kind of fun. And he was just impressed that we could even do it. That Binja would actually handle it. So that was kind of cool. Last item of note, excuse me, while I drink. I have my bubble water and I have my chai both, so I'm gonna alternate between the two. The last news item of the last couple weeks is this automated detection of obfuscated code. If you've been watching the stream for a while, we've actually had Tim on the stream before when he first released this plugin. And he's got an updated blog post on some new features, including cyclomatic complexity. This is actually, it's funny because cyclomatic complexity was literally something that I heard Ghidra had it as an API call. I was like, oh man, how come Binja doesn't have this? And then I saw how you actually implement it. And I'm like, oh, it's like a one-liner if you want it to be. So I even have it, I think, on my my gist even has a cyclomatic complexity in there if it's something you needed. Oh, that's right. It was a part of our function tags snippet that we turned into a plugin in 1 week. So turned out that was actually pretty straightforward. But definitely go check out Tim's blog post, especially if you do a lot with binary obfuscation and you want to see the latest of that. And of course, he updated it in the plugin manager, so you can hit that up with just by going to plugin manager and installing the latest version. If you haven't grabbed it already, you can install it right there. I just reset my settings every time because I always get that warning. And there we go. So, the one thing I actually really liked about this too, I was going to point this out. It actually has a nice like separate headless mode, right? So you can run the plugin in Binja and have it do some of this detection, but you can also actually just run it on the command line and parse over a bunch of other files. So I really like that he's taking advantage of both the headless mode and the UI to build a consistent thing. So actually, he's got some samples. Let's actually try this out. I've been wanting to do this. So let's grab the GitHub link. And I think I'll link to it here. That'll work. So there we go, samples.zip. Actually, so the nice thing is, I think we've already got this sort of installed. So if we want, we can copy it right from our repository folder. Repositories, community, plugins, and it's Mr. Fraser. And our Fraser obfuscation samples here. Infected. All right, so all right, so we've actually got a couple samples here. So let's try this out as well too. Let's see. So actually, do I have Binary Ninja added to my path? I do. And so now if I run, where was that path again? Let's just pull it out here. So we can actually pull the detect flattening. Try this here, and I think what was his? It was just you passing a path, right? Sample, yeah, for a particular file. Okay, so FinSpy. So again, we're just, and actually at the same time, all right, these all look like pretty high flattening scores. So whatever detection is doing for control flow flattening. Now let's actually take a look at that. So let's do this. Let's pull FinSpy into Binja. And let's move this over here. There we go. So here's FinSpy. Let's actually get out of this mode. So let's just look at control flow graph. So it does have more functions than that, right? So it's only the control flow flattening is only being applied to some of these functions. Yeah, that looks like something that's a control flow that has a bunch of bogus. Yeah, speaking of fun graphs, yeah, obfuscation plugins tend to be good ones too, to show off the. Let's see. There we go. Zoom in. Right. And now, can I run that to try to remember the plugin? Remember how it loads in the UI. Let's see. What's the. Or is this only headless? I thought this. No, this one had some UI code to it too as well. I thought maybe it's register for address, register for function. Let's see. Actually, let's just look at the source real quick, and that'll answer the question. Yeah, I agree, JC. In fact, that's actually one of the things that one of my nitpicks about Binge's plugin manager right now is that the way that the namespacing works, the plugins get put in this really, it gets renamed into this form where it's actually the GitHub username and then the plugin name, which makes it a little bit more annoying to actually just import it and use it in other Python. But yeah, being able to like just import it into some other totally unrelated script and call into the logic is nice. Yeah, that was quite the graph there. There is a sort of long-standing issue of being able to like replace Binge's graph layout algorithm with a different one. Like it's been very serviceable. In fact, it was good enough. I mentioned before, x64 DBG used the algorithm because it was the same one that we published in our GPL Python version of Binary Ninja from I guess 6-7 years ago now. That we first released that. We wrote it, or Rusty wrote it, I think, around that time period, but it was released. It was only 6 years ago now. And so, yeah, it would be nice if we could swap that out. So let's see here. If we go to let's check this one out. Oh, that's right. Never mind. This one, you know what? This is kind of fun. Okay. So this needs some changes. So this plugin actually has the Binja plugin out of this subfolder. So this is another fun notice, right? So I don't think this had happened last week. I meant to put this under Ninja News, but y'all might have noticed, I don't think I mentioned this last week, right? Lighthouse is now in the plugin manager. Just ignore the spacing up there. I'm still trying to figure out why that happened there. It's not Marcus's fault. But Lighthouse, which is kind of one of the, I think really one of the most well engineered and popular reverse engineering plugins in general. It's been around for IDA for many years and has Binary Ninja support, which, by the way, it's ironic because this is an animated GIF. If you go to the repository where the README comes from, this GIF is animated, but because there he is. Hey, Marcus, good to see you. I'm going to get him on stream, so y'all need to like y'all need to shame him into showing up. So I keep asking him when he's going to show up on stream. But one of these days, yeah, that's the answer. He's at some point he'll show up. But it is really funny that the image animates and flips between the two. It just so happens that because we switched to Qt6, we don't support animated GIFs anymore. And so it just shows the first frame. So we're stuck with like look, it's this IDA Pro plugin that you can install in Binary Ninja. No, it works on Binja as well. But the neat thing about this is that we've kind of been blocked on support for Lighthouse for a while because as makes sense of a cross-platform plugin, this one repository again has support for several different. Actually, do you have Ghidra support here? I don't think there's just it's just Binary Ninja and IDA. But because there's support for both of these, and he's abstracted away the disassembly tool specifics of it. There's a Binja stub folder. This is where the actual UI plugin is from Binja, right? And then it's going to load into the actual plugin code that exists, elsewhere in the repository. But the way that like we first made the plugin manager didn't really support kind of this idea. It was like the root of your folder must be your UI plugin, and that's actually not the case anymore. So right, you can now have a subfolder, which is in this case this is the Binja stub one, and so here's the README here. Yeah, so actually, if I submit a PR to Marcus to just replace this README, the one in the subfolder, to just the Binja one, and we duplicate that other image, and we just have a Binja one, that would fix the Binja plugin preview, and would leave the nice animated one on the general page for everybody else. So that's a nice way to kind of have the best of both worlds. So that was the other Ninja News item that I didn't yet mention, and the relevance now is that, right, so this obfuscation detection plugin, the UI plugin lives in a subfolder, right? And so what I actually need to do is I'll get with Tim and talk to him. I don't think he's watching the stream now, but I did talk to him a couple days ago when he first published this. But what we need to do is we need to move the plugin.json into the subfolder, and the README you can leave here. You can have a separate one. It doesn't really matter. And you can actually override either one of those with a config line in the JSON file. So if you actually set a long description field here to something non-zero, it will override the README files. The README files are just kind of a default if it doesn't find a longer description. But move the plugin.json into there. Excuse me, either duplicate or make a new README in there, and then boom, you could actually install the plugin. The UI plugin would load. In the meantime, I'm actually just going to, let's see. I'm not doing that one from scratch. Let's get that whole long path in there. Subfolder is actually the obfuscation detection plugin again. And now when I restart my Binja, see which version is this. I've got a couple different ones installed right now. Sure, that'll work. Now, did I load the obfuscation detection? Yeah, there we go. So obfuscation detection is now loaded. So now if I open up FinSpy, let's see, where is this one gonna register? Oh, I still might need to look in the... Oh, interesting. Okay, so it's actually just meant to be called actually directly imported, right? So that makes sense too. This there is no register, so I'll submit a PR on that to just add some UIs for it. But we should be able to do import obfuscation detection, and then obfuscation detection dot find flattened functions. So we can actually just register that plugin directly. Yeah, and so we can get the results right here. Yeah, we should do that in the log window. Yeah, well, I'll make some suggested changes here, but I think that's some nice analysis on that side. So that's right. I think that's the end of our let's see, the end of our Ninja News. I missed anything else? Let me let me know if I did in the Slack. And okay, hold on. Now I got it. I'm gonna go to the outro screen, just because I want to double check. I wrote up my list of to-dos now to make sure I'm doing the right thing. So let's see. Oh no, y'all couldn't hear any of that, could you? Can you hear me now? Can you not? You see, totally dead. Can you hear my audio? Or like, is it back? It's back. Okay. Yeah. So my quick peek at the last the outline was probably not a good idea. Sorry about that. Hey, at least I know people are paying attention. All right. Sorry about that. Well, now I got to remember. Okay. Let's see what we're talking about. That was the last of our news. And I was checking my to-do list on that last slide. I think I have it that slide or that OBS scene to automatically end the stream when it transitions to it. So sorry about that. Thanks for mentioning it. Welcome, Fox. We're going over. We just finished the news of the week, last 2 weeks, and we're now talking about the new Binja features that landed. So, the one of the new features that landed is the tags are kind of getting a little bit of an overhaul. This one is not done; it's still in progress. But so and I was gonna say we also showed off last week or 2 weeks ago, I think, are the variable view, which is new when that landed. Cyber obviously was a couple weeks ago. Um, but the tags, if you haven't looked at tags recently, you'll notice that this is changed. So whereas before there was bookmarks, tags, and tag types as separate tabs, there's now currently just the two tabs, one for tags and one for tag types. And the ultimate plan is actually to fold this functionality of tag types into tags, right? So right now you'd have to come here to make a new tag, and to turn on and off display of these. Like, so for example, if I don't want to show any of these tags because they don't, have any kind of entries that I care about, I could disable them here, and then they would just not show up in this view. But I think the plan is to have that functionality here. And so the idea is that you can turn on and off some of these just from the tags view, and it can, because they already are kind of categorized here, and you can fold them all up for tags that you've got. Or like if I make a new one, so let's add tag, bug, test value, or we're gonna add tag here. So the idea is that you could, oops, yeah, there we go. So the idea is that you would still navigate your tags, still hit enter to go to the location. Oh, that's a big function. Kind of slowed down. Oh, that's right. This is FinSpy, so it's control flow fatten. So this is probably a bad one to poke around. Fox, they are not new, and that's part of why I do this stream, is because there's a lot of stuff that was hidden. So actually, do I have a really old Binja pre? Let me see here real quick. Let's see if I have an old build. Previous stable. Let's try this Binja. See if this one is the previous. So I'll show you where it was in the old design. Welcome, Cryptic. So in the old, I probably should know what a malware. In the old design, it was slow my machine down. There we go. It was over here on the left, hidden under the symbol view. So there was like a tab down here. You could go to between symbols and tabs, and it was a dock widget, so you could actually like pull it out. So you can pull it out from here. Yeah, and so you could move it somewhere else if you wanted. But there was this tag system, and this is part of why we're doing the 3.0 UI refactor, is exactly that reason, that there was like features that people literally didn't know they existed, because the UI was kind of not as obvious or not intuitive, and things were kind of in different places. And so before it was tags, and you could see this was bookmarks, this was the regular tags, and this was the tag types. And so if I do the same thing here, if I add a tag, and oops, that was not what I meant to do, but it doesn't matter. Add a tag, create a function, data. This just added, this particular tag, and I can add another one. We'll call it the important. Yeah, that's an important one. And so now I've got like, just locations that and the interesting thing about these is that you can set the data field. So like if you've got a fuzzer, for example, or similar tool that's doing a bunch of automated analysis, you can annotate a list of tags with, a unique emoji icon. Each tag category gets its own little emoji you can set, and some individual data for each one. And I think if you hover the tag, is it here? There's a way to, I think there's a way to see the, I have hover turned off, so maybe it doesn't show up. Maybe I'm misremembering that feature, but I think there's a way to like have the data field show up for each of these tags as well, to kind of help you do it. So this was the old layout, right? Where you had tag types, bookmarks, and tags, and you can sort of see the halfway point of the transition here, where bookmarks are gone. They're just now a new category in tag types. And the main reason we have one that's specifically called bookmarks is because these are actually hotkeys. So if you hit Control 1 or Control Shift 1, I think, Control Shift 2. Oh, these hotkeys might also be hijacked by my Control Alt. There we go. Control Alt 1, Control Alt 2 sets. Okay, so Control Alt. I don't use them on Linux. So if I go to a location and I want to bookmark this location, yeah, exactly. Control Alt 1 on my window manager is going to go to the wrong place. So bookmark, set bookmark 1. All right, so now I have a bookmark. You can see that that's 1. The idea is that they come with pre-built hotkeys. Now, the nice thing about the Binja UI and the action system and tags, like you could create a really simple snippet, or there's lots of ways you could map a hotkey to have it navigate to a tag as well. But just the bookmarks feature is really just meant to be like really quick. You can always have some default hotkeys you can navigate to. So if I hit Control 1 now, excuse me, it takes me right back to that bookmark location. So that's the main difference between just the generic tags and bookmarks. And bookmarks don't have a data field. Tags have that extra data field, and they're kind of more arbitrary. You can different tag types. So I should have done my tags. I'm going to hold off. So for Binary Ninja Basics this week, I'm not doing it on tags because we're in the middle of this UI overhaul. So like I said, you can see what it's like currently now, where the tag system now, first of all, is more obvious, right? So as with the side panel, everything's kind of all starting to come together in one place, so it's easier to find things. And if you look in here, you'll see how it's kind of they're now organized by category, but we're still kind of working through it because I think again we need the ability to turn on and off and create new tag types. Turtles. This is my turtle tag, and my emoji is going to be. Oh, I don't know how to get an emoji in Mac. I think I've written this before, or on Linux. Turtle emoji. No, I'm not going to waste time on that. I could do that. Everybody take my word for it. You can put a turtle emoji there. And yep, I don't need a turtle tag. But like having a count up here for each category and being able to turn them on and off and create new ones probably can just live all right here. And then we get rid of these extra tabs. So that was one change that landed this week. I already mentioned that plugins can be in subfolders. I made a little change that some of y'all might appreciate. So there's already the new strings side panel here. So people are probably less likely to be using the old strings view that's down here. It's still there. You can still get to this in case you have really long strings, you want to see more, maybe there may be a reason you want to go there. But you'll notice, so strings has the search strings filter box available by default now. And the other one that does as well is the search key bindings command. So we had this search filter box here in strings and in the key bindings, but you just had to know it was there and just start typing, and then it would show up. And it was kind of a bit of an anti-pattern in hindsight. We sort of made it too hard to find things. That was for a long time the way that the function list on the sidebar was, right? So if on the old Binja, if you're in the symbol list, you had all the functions here, you could just start typing and it would filter down for you. But that box was not shown by default, and so a lot of people didn't know it was there. And we regretted that choice. We realized that after watching a lot of people like not know about features, that was a bad idea. So that's why you'll notice on the new panel, it's actually integrated up top there. There's the search in each of these. So it's right there. You know where it is. It was always available. It just wasn't discoverable. And so we're trying to get better at that. And so, like I said, I added that I just deleted some code ironically and just turned off the hiding. So it's just there by default, which I think will make those a little bit more discoverable. If there's any other vectorites on the stream, feel free to remind me about your favorite feature as well that landed in the last couple of weeks. We could also, I guess, try looking through issues. Let's see if we can catch any other ones. The big one though is, and this one has not quite landed, but we talked about workflows last week. Hey, welcome. No worries, Valgrind, you're good. That's what the VOD's for. I mean, if you want to catch up on it, there's some good news updates, and we're talking about the features. So I'm splitting up just Binja in the news, things are happening with Binja, and stuff that we're doing with the like in the code changes that have actually happened to bug fixes. So if we actually look sort by last updated. Oh, actually, I want closed too. Most recently closed. All right, so there's the one that I did. Let's see. Couple of bugs. Oh, this was kind of neat. That's right. This is a cool one that Glenn snuck in. Yeah, a couple more fixes and improvements to the plugin manager look there, but I think that's, yeah, variables view. All right, this is another nice little subtle change. And by the way, Glenn, I don't know if this is documented. If you're watching, make sure you document this because this is one that I don't think it's documented anywhere. So it is, it's just like a Python RC file. Any kind of startup. See, Josh gets it. Yes. Well, yes, document too, right? But and like, you know what? Hold on. I'm gonna look at this commit. I'm gonna double check. Maybe he did. Let before I judge too much. So let's see where he actually. This is probably in the API repo, so y'all could probably find it too. Fancy tags list startup.py. So the name is startup.py. Yep, and it is in the. No. All right, no documentation on it. So before I forget. Documents startup.py. Okay, make that note before I forget. Okay, and now let's actually go test it. Let's try this out. So this is a recent dev build. Yep. So let's go ahead and kill this and come over to wherever I hid my terminal. Do I not have a terminal? I think I killed my terminal. All right. Startup.py. Can I just do... Oh, that's right. Look at this. It's going to make one for me. Okay, so that helps. That helps his argument about documenting a little bit, right? Like the file is created for you automatically if it doesn't exist, and it already has like the import stuff. So we could do log.log warn your startup has happened. I really don't like the color scheme there, Vinja, or Vim rather. So let's relaunch it, and your startup has happened. Look at that. So startup.py. It's great. Hey, Briley, welcome. Good morning. Welcome for an early Saturday morning for you as you join us. Oh no. Well, Fox, first of all, if you talk about fonts, John's gonna jump in, so you gotta watch out for that. If John's on, I think he is on stream. But he'll tell you just to buy the fonts. Exactly. That's see. There we go. I knew that was gonna come. Definitely pay for fonts, pay for software. If you like good fonts, you like good software, it's worth it. John has spent a lot of money on fonts too. I can attest to that. So, all right, we'll start at the pie. It works, and it actually is there at least in your user folder automatically, right? So that does help with documentation, but we'll have to document that as well. So I think that's it for things that are on dev in the last week or so. But there is one that's not quite yet on dev. And in fact, the latest build of it didn't even succeed on Linux. So I'm going to run it on my Mac side and bring it over and try not to leak too many secrets. So let me see if I can permanently borrowing. All right, let's see if this works, first of all. All right, so, oh, there we go. All right, so let me first make sure that this does not update itself to a different version because test builds, yep, they like to do that. Kill that. Actually, this just reminds me, is this, oh yeah, I'm not even using reflection. I must have reset my theme here. Oh man, no wonder it felt so different. All right, gotta get back to my reflection. My reflection theme. It's John's. John's made it, but all right, so that's why it looked different there. Make sure my updates are off. All right, so I've disabled updates. Let's do this. All right, so you may notice that in the name of my of my Binja here. This is Binary Ninja workflows, right? Yeah, that's exactly right, Game Mind. It worked. It worked for Brian, and honestly, though, that's what our CI is for, and that's what test branches are for, right? So this is the expected result um, for that. It's not at all surprising, and we use our CI to test builds on other platforms. We'd rather have developers just push, check the build logs, and see what the errors were on other platforms than try to do a test build on everyone locally. Just like that's why we have CI. It's faster that way too. You're going to build on all the platforms at once instead of just doing it on one of your machines. So I'm going to pull up some. Let's see if I can get the documentation here. So we talked about this very briefly last week. This is analysis passes. Analysis passes are dead. Long live analysis passes. They're now known as workflows. Not actually dead. We're just we're calling them. So the idea is that we have long wanted to make Binary Ninjas, the way that it does analysis, more flexible, right? Like we want to be able to let users rewrite IL at different stages. And we call this concept analysis passes. There's all sorts of nifty things you can do with it, like a lot of things you can do with it. And Brian, one of our engineers, who's often on chat, maybe listening. I think he had to run some errands this afternoon, but has been working on it for a while now. He's really been, and honestly, he's done faster than I expected with what he has now. It's not complete yet, but he has a system that basically lets you really see and visualize like every stage of Binja's analysis, as well as like change it and modify it. And that's really, really powerful. There's all sorts of stuff you can do. This is the test build. And again, this build is going out onto dev at some point relatively soon. No promises. We want to get it to you when it's ready for a little broader testing, but certainly it'll build on all platforms before that. But I think it's pretty close. So there is this new, so you can have this new workflow object, which we should be able to just do like help workflow. And we can see the PyDocs for it of what a workflow is and what things it can do. But better than that is, this is kind of an interesting idea. There's a show documentation option here, right? So show documentation. And that is, let's actually do it there. Just gonna pop open a little README. We're working on how this is gonna be generated and integrated into the. Oh, do it! Oh, he's doing it live. Oh man, this will be good. Sorry, I'm catching up on chat here. It's all good, Fox. Just do some bug bounties with Binja and get yourself the money and buy the fonts that way. Just do it after as a reward for doing a bug bounty. So this is the current documentation, and again, the idea here is that so yeah, actually let's try some of these examples out. So we can actually, much like architectures, right? With the Binja architecture sort of like meta class, what you'll do is you do a list on the meta class to see all the list of Binja architectures. And the reason that we do it this way, as opposed to just having like a property that's static that you could query, is because these are dynamic, right? Again, plugins can load new architectures. Anything that in the API where you can load new things, we have to make sure that you can get to it via something that returns like a list that can change, and making it clear that these are like instances of it and you can get a bunch of them that way. We could stick this off a property still and just have it be like current architectures, but this is the kind of model that we follow for some like the top level stuff. So likewise, if we do list on workflow, we can see these are the current workflows that come with this current build. All right, so we've got one called custom tail call workflow, one called Objective-C workflow. This might be interesting to some of you. We'll look at that. one called default analysis and core function default analysis and core module default analysis, right? So there's these two other workflows, and I think this is one of my favorite features about workflows actually, because when Brian first started working on this, literally nobody in the company could have sat and drawn a whiteboard, drawn out the entire architecture of like, what is all of the analysis of binary ninja from start to finish? What's every like, just give me a name for every type of analysis that happens and where it happens in relation to everything else. Like that's not possible for one person to have it all in their head. There was just too much. But now we have like code that does it for us. So it's really neat. You can actually do it. So let's do this. Let's get Python workflows equal to workflow. So this is just the default workflow. We don't actually need to clone it. We can't. Let's do that. We'll follow this example. So we're gonna clone, and we're gonna call it the Python log warn workflow. All right. So I've got an unregistered workflow, and it's called the Python log warn workflow. But I cloned it off of just the default workflow, which is gonna. Oh yeah, we're gonna get there. We'll show you the Objective-C. In fact, if somebody has an Objective-C binary they want to test it on, again, this is kind of early, but this is the plumbing that's going to enable all sorts of really nice improvements to Binja in the future. So if you want to drop a binary in the stream channel, a streams channel, yeah, there's a streams channel on the Binja Slack. Anybody who wants to see something in Objective-C, pop it in there. Oh, that's a good idea. Just drop calculator in. Thanks, Josh. That's a good suggestion. We'll try that. So I've got this unregistered Python workflow, and the concept is because like these workflows are like critical to analysis, you don't want to have this slow thing where like Python can like slow down all the core analysis, or you have to worry about locks and changing things and them being mutable. And so you have the concept of a registered or an unregistered workflow. And an unregistered workflow can be changed, it can be modified. Once you register it, it is immutable. You cannot change that workflow. And I think this makes a ton of sense. This is pretty straightforward, but again, you can clone an existing workflow into a new one, replace it, modify it, and then register it. And so that's kind of the workflow. You see what I did there? I'll take my drum and a hi-hat in chat. If anybody actually no one thought that was funny, so I'm not getting any emoji. And so, all right, I've kind of delayed enough, but here's show topology. This is, I love this. This is really cool, okay? So this is actually every kind of step in the function default analysis, right? So you can see there is sort of two stages of workflows. You have the module workflows, which are going to apply to like the binary view, like parsing the initial loading of the PE, the elf maka, whatever the file is. And so like a lot of stuff, you load imports, you parse debug information, you find the entry point, all those types of things you do like once as you're initializing the module. And then you have a set of workflow of activities that you're going to do for each function. And so what we're looking at now is the stuff that we do for each function. So every function in Binary Ninja is going to go through this kind of flow for each, and we call these activities in the workflow, right? So this is why we're kind of using this naming, because this is not just like analysis passes where it's like I have a transformation of the overall IL from one state to another for the whole binary, but rather this is at letting us kind of rewrite any of the loading and staging like for entirely different purposes, entirely different workflows, right? So that's like this will underpin all sorts of other things kind of going forward. So we've got like, first we're going to update a function. We've got advanced analysis, concurrent advanced analysis. So this is going to be like a multi-threading step. So some workflows can actually spin up multiple threads. And so some of the analysis is single threaded, some is multi-threaded. And so that you'll see these nodes kind of come in here. We process constant pointer references. We find string references. We generate high-level IL, generate or analyze high-level type references. So like all of these steps. And then after we finish the update, we're going to go there. This is the composite view, which I think is just like the relationships between each of these nodes. And then the sequential view is more of like a linear ordering of like how they flow together through a particular function. Okay, the test build is uploading. All right, so if the test build, I don't know, is test going to go straight to dev afterwards, Brian, if it succeeds? or is there more testing to be done internally? And maybe before we're done with the call, y'all are able to play with this too. There are a few people who have test build access, um, because they promised not to make fun of us too much when things were broken and very early in testing. But so yeah, so the sequential view again. You can switch between the two, and this whole UI. To be clear, these are all like pre-built Binja APIs, like UI APIs. You've got this flow graph, a report collection. We can create collections of reports. You can generate these flow graphs. Like there was no like Brian did zero UI code to generate this, right? Like this is all literally just a part of what any plugin can do very trivially. From here, this is really just kind of representing all the hard work was all refactoring the analysis to enable this. So all right, let's go back to our workflow documentation. And Brian, if you wanna, I would love to have you on if you want to chat and do a video chat too. But I know you may have stuff in your hands full there, so don't feel like you have to. But if you want to join me on stream, because again, this is like many months of really hard work by Brian. He did a fantastic job. Like again, just wrapping your head around like how this is gonna be architected. Ooh, it might be going to dev. Oh, that sounds great. Sweet. So now listen, Marcus, of all the people to demand Brian on stream, you better be careful because if he comes on due to peer pressure, then it's gonna come to you next. Well, this is I would like to hear your feedback on it too, Josh. I'm very interested to see what you think. So you can see like this is like the most trivial of analysis, right? It's literally like just using a lambda to add a new action and to okay, yeah, you've accepted the inevitable. You know you're going to be coming in on stream anyway, so you're just going to bring everybody else in with you. I'm all right with that. Come everyone join the stream. So the this is like a really basic. It doesn't really do anything but literally just log every time that this node is called. So you can see when a function is being analyzed every time that particular activity happens. And you'll notice the where is it? You insert, so you create this activity associated with the workflow, and then you insert that, and it's going to be inserted after the basic block analysis. So presumably after every basic block is analyzed, you're going to get a spew of these. Let's try it, right? So let's actually finish. We've got our topology. Let's actually add this new action. Different copy paste buffer. All right, we've got an action. We're going to insert this action, and these actions are named by strings. Like there's a string name just to be a descriptive name for all of these. And again, these are going to live. You can add these in any of the API languages that we support. Although the analysis context is there are some limitations on what you can do with this now. There's definitely going to be some more work that's coming out of it, because this workflow system exposes all the different phases of analysis. The data that you have access to and how you change it and how you write it and pass it on to the next thing is definitely still something that we're expanding and it's being kind of worked on. So and there are certain relationships and certain things that are sort of hard coded. Like you can make a broken workflow that won't actually work. So there is definitely some more work here, but we do know that this is useful, and we'll show you first the toy example. So let's actually insert this, and now we're gonna actually do. So we're gonna show our topology again, right? So we can actually see. We should, if we can find the basic block analysis. Basic block analysis. There we go. We inserted exactly right before the basic block analysis. We've inserted our Python log warn, right? So every time this analysis is about to be called, we're gonna. Stream is frozen. It's still my confidence still says streaming. Okay, maybe just a bandwidth or YouTube thing. But thank you for speaking up. I would rather not talk to myself again for another several minutes, if I can help it. All right, so just to recap, we've got our new activity and our workflow is registered. It shows up right before the basic block analysis. We can see it's there. And now I think it's just .register, right? We're going to now register it, and this is going to be the useless log warn before BBA, basic block analysis. That's our description. Oh, invalid value. Yeah, that's what I get for not reading the documentation. Let's look at that. Invalid description restriction value. Yeah, there may be some requirements on the format of that. So let's just register without doing that. All right. So we've registered our oh, it probably has to be formatted like this, like no spaces, and there may be some limits there, but not a big deal. All right, so now we've registered the workflow. Again, we're not saving this. It's not a plugin. This will be gone the second we restart binge up. But because we've registered the workflow, if we do we'll call it open with options. So I did this by holding Command and Shift because I'm on my Mac build. Oh, it's got to be a valid JSON key. Yeah, so I probably had like a single quote or something in there, like a contraction or something like that. So the load options here, I can actually just search, try workflows. Yeah, I've got my function workflow and I've got my module workflow. And again, the module workflow is the one time done at module load, and the function workflow is going to be our different one. So let's use Python logwarn workflow. And there's my log file. Do I have... Let's see, load signatures, your function analysis. Oh no, did my log not work? Where did my log go? All right, let's clear the log. Let's close the file. Let's open with options. Yep. Good, everyone kind of like my download folder. See, this is why I don't usually stream my native machine. You can see how cluttered I keep my real machine. My stream VM is usually more organized. Let's see. Oh yeah, workflows is currently that's right. Currently a top level menu. Get's message is it's an old CTF challenge we had sitting around that actually we use that Sophia uses in her portion of the training class, ironically. I didn't even use it on my side, but Peter wrote that old challenge many years ago. So we've got our workflows. Yeah, so this is one of the things it's still kind of in discussion, right? Again, some of the workflows features are TBD. We're not gonna also I'm gonna make sure I'm on. Oh, all right, sweet. Brian's down for joining. I just see this is why I checked my oh yeah, so oh, that makes sense. That's right. We'll talk about that in a second. Let me get you, Brian, get you on stream. If you join the stream channel, there should be a link to join a hangout. You can come and let people let you talk through this stuff. You can help fix my bugs more quickly than normal. But yeah, so that was the checkbox I missed the first time. Yeah, so if you check, it should just be meet.google.com and you type stream as the name. It should put you in the right. Let me see if I've got this right. Hangouts, 2V, let's see. I might need to. All right. Actually, I'm just going to type the URL in just to make sure. All right, let's see if I typed that right. So you should be able to join with that. And let's go back here. Right, so the thing that I was doing before is enabling it. And Brian pointed that out in chat. And so to be clear, this is there we go. We've got Brian joining. Let me switch over. Oh, can you put? You're gonna mute the stream, please, Brian. Thank you. And now let me see. Where's my button to switch here? Hangouts to up. Full window. No, full window. For some reason, I see an eyes closed for you. Can you hear me, Brian?
Yeah, I hear you.
Thanks.
I see the eyes closed as well. Interesting.
Hold on. That was. Oh, there we go. You're there for a second. Is that on my side? Oh, there we go. Okay. I won't touch it. All right. We got you. Sweet. All right. Well, thanks
Cool.
for joining. I'm excited to be showing off your baby. So,
Yeah.
all right, let's go back to the desktop, and I think I can turn on your video on desktop. Let's see if this worked. I'm not sure if that part worked or not. That part is not. So, can I fix this? I don't know if that's gonna work, so I'm not gonna mess with that for now. But all right, I think everyone's back. Yes, the people have demanded workflows. I mean, I'm showing workflows. I haven't actually showed it yet. Okay, so let's do it. Let's open the function analysis, Python log work. Let's do it. And look, there we go. We got a bunch of logs for all those messages. So we have workflows working. All right, that's a boring example though. All right, so let's do Objective C. And actually, I know you had a test binary you're using too, didn't you?
I did, yeah, a small one. I sent it in Slack, but
Let's live dangerously.
you can try it.
And let's try
See what
calc. Yeah.
happens.
Is it calc that up or it's probably calculator?
You get to open one Objective-C binary per process lifetime.
And that's because of it's not fully taking advantage of the module versus function changes, or?
Yeah, right now I do some file parsing of some of the Objective-C data structures, and I'm storing that into a global right now.
Yeah.
Instead of in the analysis.
Yep, it's just like an implementation detail that will be easy enough to. Okay, so I opened calculator, but I didn't open it with the plugin, so we can see right off the bat. This is what Objective-C looks like when you don't have something that specifically understands it. Message send super. It's not just a message send. We've got message send super. So message send, I guess, is just basically like a dispatch function, right? So does like virtual method lookups on a class, and it seems like it would be kind of slow because it's got all these like strings that are basically telling you what function to call, but it's pretty optimized for, I guess, and it ends up being reasonably efficient. But it just makes analysis really hard. So. And also credit to Josh, who's on the chat, right? Built an early version of this plugin, but there was really only so much the plugin could do, because one, it was Python, so it was a little bit slower, and two, it ran like after analysis. Like you could run analysis, and then you would like, okay, now I'm going to go annotate and try to create references, but you're limited because all of Bench's analysis is already done. Like you can't just rewrite the IL, but now you can. This is the good part, right? So if I open with options, and if I go to workflows, I'm going to enable the workflows. And again, this is off by default so that like this can land on dev. It doesn't impact things. Brian, you were originally doing your testing.
Yeah.
And I really like that you just did that as a setting. So like you can have the whole original analysis and then the new one, and just switch it on and off to compare results, right?
That's right. And when you can enable per binary. So it's really good to test the original pipeline versus the new workflows based pipeline.
So it's super nice just running little unit tests to verify things. And describe your other one you did with the tail call workflow, because I think that's a really nice description too.
Oh yeah, the tail call analysis. that's a pass that's in the core currently, and that was the first one I wrote externally through workflows to just to kind of test to make sure that all of our unit tests pass and to kind of see what uh, kind of plumb through some of the APIs that were required to implement that pass. So that was one of the first ones, and then I went on to the Objective C, and
And
then I tried out
and the
a
way that you described to me was that you literally took a piece of the core analysis, you ripped it out into like a user plugin,
yeah
and rebuilt the workflow kind of pipeline, but shoved in this separate plugin that was a user plugin into the analysis phase, and then all of our unit tests still succeeded, right? So it's a really nice way to
yeah.
demonstrate that your system was sound, which is cool. So, all right, I've stalled long enough. Let's
Mm-hmm.
actually open this up.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh, wait, no, hold on. Message sent. Oh, it's still message sent. No. See, that's what I get for testing this. And again, uh, the part that we haven't fleshed out yet. All right, I'm gonna go grab that test binary because the part that we haven't tested out is a lot of the metadata loading, as you were saying, like it's kind of being shoved in a global. Like there's a bunch of like engineering that needs to happen on polishing this up, or maybe Josh ends up rewriting his plugin now that the APIs are public and on dev.
Yeah.
Um,
There may be other obfusc message send calls that work in this binary, but
let's try. Let's see.
one thing I did not handle was I only handled instructions where the expression was a call, just a direct call.
Oh, okay.
There's actually a to do in the code to handle sub expressions for calls. Um,
Yeah,
assigning if you have an assign to a variable, but there's a call on the right hand side. I didn't just go through and parse the sub expressions yet. So
yeah, that's fair. I think this one, it looks like, because this one's just a regular expression, even
let me
medium
see.
level. I'm guessing is more to do with like the parsing of the metadata in this particular file. So let me
That could be as well. A lot of that's brand new code that was tested on like one
just
or
one
two
file. Yeah. Let me.
yeah.
What was that file name of the one that you sent me? I'm gonna grab that real quick and throw it in. The
Um,
test one that you had.
I'll have it in just a second. I
Okay.
think it was hello obfusc or something. Let me look.
Am I sure it ran? That's a good question.
It's
Um,
main.out was the name of that binary.
so if I check, let's see. If I check, no, there it is. Made that Objective C test. All right, let's do this. So I could have messed up my clicking around. I was doing stuff, so I could have selected the wrong thing. So this Objective C workflow. Hold on, let's close this down. Let me just restart this whole session. Let's make sure we do it cleanly. And actually, I think you said the build was pushing out on Linux too, so I might just be able to switch into my VM.
Oh yeah, it's uploaded
Is it
for
already
sure.
up and live? All
Yep.
right, let me do that one as well in the background. We'll get our this machine's a little things are a little more organized. So I love doing live demos. I'm totally okay if a live demo has quirks. I think it's totally worth it. All right, so not that one, not that one, not that one. Closing all my other benches. All right. So let us switch to latest test. Yeah, 2028 is the latest test build, so that definitely is live there. All right. So we'll let that update while we open BNIL Objective-C test.
Yeah, that'll be good. If the test build works for you, I'll push to dev shortly. Early preview.
Ooh, this looks different. Now this doesn't look like what the code used to look like before. So just for comparison, let's reopen the same file and let's look at
Yeah,
these calls.
that's right. There you go.
So there we go. This is
Yeah.
demonstrating our your prototype Objective-C parser, right? Again, so like
Yeah.
this is again very minimal test case just to prove it
And
out.
again,
But
it's patching together the call, just direct calls. So if you have an indirect call, I just didn't add the expression parsing to do that yet. So it's trivial to add that.
Yeah.
And just there's only so much time. So I'm fleshing out issues with workflows
Yeah.
rather than issues with a full Objective C plugin.
Yeah, exactly. And the quote that you said earlier, which I think repeated several times on stream, I still love it, is workflow. It was analysis past the time, but workflows, editors change. Workflows solves every problem except you still have to solve your problem, right? So like Objective C rewriting. Okay, great. You now still have to parse the whole IL tree, right, to figure out how to replace and what to write. So you can't just be like find every call. You have to actually traverse the existing ILs to find all the calls that you want to replace and then replace the expression, right? So there's still like work to be done. But this system just lets you do it. It lets you do things you couldn't do before. So this is and for comparison, let's actually split this to a new window. Oh yeah, I keep it's this weird using a using my native one because I have like different settings in the VM for hotkeys and stuff. So just side by side, compare the two with and without, right? So where'd they go? No, this is the same one. Close that. There we go. All right, so here we can see the differences between the two. Where and again, this looks like one of those indirect ones, right? So indirect ones here aren't being updated again. That's just sort of like a current, just small limitation. But here's the call, and I think my favorite part about this too is right, like this before was this Objective-C message send of like this string is all you had. Like so, this here is the string, but we actually have arguments. Like this looks like a floating point value.
It's actually floating point. Those are the correct parameters. So or
Yeah.
correct arguments. Yeah.
So if we actually change this to float, that's a floating point 0, which is not super interesting. And this one's a floating point. Oh, it's also 0. Yeah, there we go.
Did
Is that right?
double? Is there a double?
Oh, maybe that's what it was. Display as double. Oh, there it is. Yeah, it's 5
Yeah. There you go.
and 10. Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
And I
Oh
made
yeah,
another
Josh just said that too. Josh got it on stream. Thanks, Josh. Go ahead.
I made another example that incorporates the function inliner. So one of the other passes is a function inliner.
That's a great point.
And on the command line, you can take the Objective-C workflow, you can clone it, and then you can add the function inliner activity or the analysis of it, add it into your new cloned Objective-C workflow, and all of a sudden you can right-click the patched up Objective-C message sends. Now you can inline the target functions.
All right,
Which was a pretty neat demo to see the chaining of analyses together.
Yeah, and these are sort of composable. Show the code. Oh, the Objective-C code. Yeah, that's a good suggestion, Peter. So, let me check
Is
it.
the is the other upload finished yet? Just curious.
It is. The build servers are idle. You gonna merge it?
Oh, in the documentation, it should link to the examples and the API. So the code is in the API, but it would be on the test workflows branch. That would be the only thing until it goes to dev. You would need the newest uploaded.
Yeah, this should be. Oh, this is 27. Oh, this is fine. Should be the same one. This just doesn't have the build fixes.
Oh, that's right.
This the Mac one that I'm on here. Actually, for that matter, I could be in. This one should be the. This one should have the update installed. This is 28. No, I think this one didn't yet upload to the right version. So. Oh, no, it is. It is 2928 is the latest. Okay, so I think this is it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's there.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So let's. Well, let me do it on the Mac side just because I have the Objective-C here.
So you can just click that link and it should take you. You.
Oh, this
I'm
is on
looking.
the, let me switch this to test. You said test dash workflows.
Yeah, yeah. Until it goes to dev, that won't show up. You have to be on the test workflows branch.
There we go. Okay. So workflows. Can't see my screen. Oh, sorry. Thank you, Peter. Turns out on the wrong window. All right. So, and again, Brian's point is that this is on the public repo. So, if y'all watch our GitHub closely, you can see hints of this stuff as it comes earlier. So this one was available for a little bit. But here's the Objective C example. And again, I'm gonna caveat this with this was like a quick proof of concept, so this is not like a robust like way that you would parse Objective C. It needs to be split into the function based versus the module based kind of parsing. So the module based will pull out all the debug information, would pull out would first decide whether or not like you have extra Objective C information. Like there's just other stuff you'd want to do there. Oh yeah, the other one I'm looking forward to is like Go obfuscation, like obfuscated Go binaries, right? I think there's all that debug information, a lot of plugins that can do that, but having workflows that can sort of like, and that's actually one of the things you're working on next is workflows that can like advertise, or I don't know what's the right language for like, like opt in to running. Um,
Yeah, that's right. So if you open a binary, you would like to understand, are there workflows that are applicable to this binary? For example, like an Objective-C binary, and then automatically select that workflow, which gives you the analysis you want.
so it's like a more
Um,
powerful version of like the binary view is valid for uh, um, data, right? Where
yeah,
you
that's
pass
right.
in you
That's
pass in
right.
some data and the binary view says, yeah, like I'm an ELF parser, that's an ELF file, I can handle it. Well, this would be even after like it's an ELF file or Mako, you could say, oh, I'm a workflow that can handle Objective C or Go or whatever it is. I
Yeah,
can
yeah.
help the analysis of that particular thing.
And I'm currently in the middle of modeling the module-based part of our analysis pipeline, and that's taking all of the analysis that occurs before analyzing functions.
Mhm.
Um, and part of doing that is adding in some state machine type control, and that will give us the run once semantics for activities.
Yeah,
So what this will allow you to do is you can register an analysis and it can have run once semantics, and you can place it in any sequence while opening up a new binary. And you need that in order to satisfy certain dependencies, at least with our current um, analysis model. But you can see in this example, there's a bunch of code up at the top which will
yep,
parse out the structures. You only want that to happen once.
right,
And you don't really want it to happen again when you load a BNDB, right? So
yeah.
it happens once, it's loaded and saved, and
Save
you're
that
you're good
metadata
to
off.
go.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, but so I think Peter's point too. I really like this too. Like this is it. This is the code that says this is a call, and the call goes to uh and so this is where you're saying it's not indirect, right? Right now you're just checking the case where it's like a direct call. Um
Oh
and
yeah, to do process sub expressions
where do we
right at the
check?
top.
See, where do we check if it's the message sent? I'm looking here. I expect to see message send. Oh, there we go. So all right, so the symbol is if it's okay. So if the symbol is oops. Eh, I just want to make it for making the font big. No, I want to use my browser to find GitHub. Thank you. Symbol. All right, so the symbol is there. Message send address. Message send ADDR. So that's gonna get. Oh, right, that's where it was. Right. So here was that chunk of code. Right. This is what does the replacement. Is it a call? And is it where it's going? Right. Is the destination value of that call to message send? Great. So we need to replace it, and this is where like that's a pretty small amount of code to like rewrite IL. Um, so
Mm-hmm.
I think that's cool. People can check that out. Start implementing their own. Um, I'm excited. Like there's all sorts. I can't wait actually. So Tim, who just released his obfuscation detection plugin, I'm really curious to see what somebody like that will do with this. Right, like being able to just to completely rewrite ILs instead of like control flattening detected, like just rewrite the IL and get rid of or add new control. You can totally replace and rewrite stuff. Um, we might end up with some really nifty workflows out of this. So I'm super excited. But what's sort of we talked a little bit about like this plugin has some specific things, but like in terms of workflows in general, ability to back to put you on camera again, ability to like have like detections, right? Like a workflow that like says I can handle this was one of your sort of things you were focusing on. What are other sort of like things you're working on next with workflows?
Um, well, like I said, modeling the upper part of the pipeline for
Yeah,
analysis.
the
That's
module based. Yeah.
the module based analysis. That's kind of the next on the short list. I also need to the Python API. I haven't added the analysis context objects in Python. So the analysis context is what gives you the ability to access the current IL data structures that are like intermediary or under analysis, and also the APIs that let you replace them or modify them.
Yeah.
So you need that.
Yeah. Well, and
It's
there's already some there, obviously, right? That's why you can do. Oh, and I want to mention too. You mentioned briefly the function inlining. That's a super interesting the workflow. That's like right now, you're shipping it. Like the idea there is that our for good reason our analysis doesn't do data flow interprocedurally, right? Because you like there's state that we don't have. You don't know the context. There can be multiple calls to a function through other functions. Like you just don't know exactly sort of the state you want to kind of represent. Um, but you can actually right click on a function and choose to inline it. Or actually, is it via right click? I don't know actually how you trigger it, or is it via the API? I'm not sure. Right,
the inlining.
yeah.
You can actually try it if you want.
Maybe we should do that.
Open a binary and
All
you can
right,
try it out.
let's do this. Let's close this.
I've only tried it on like small single block and 4 block functions. So
Well, we
if
have
you
Objective C still loaded, so I'm gonna do it again without the Objective C. Let's just do the. Oh, the inliner is not here. Is the inliner in the?
oh, the inliner's not there.
Not in this build. Hold on, let me check the other one.
Huh. Interesting.
Was it in the? Was it in the this folder? Go back to this window. Workflows. So it's in this one.
Oh, wait a second. You also have to enable the examples in the brand new build.
Okay. Well, let me hear. I'm in the. This one should be the brand new build.
Yeah,
So.
so go to settings, enable workflows, and also
Oh yeah, this one has 4 settings. I see.
enable the
Oh,
plugins.
that's good. That makes sense. You can turn on workflows without enabling the plugins. That makes sense. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Josh. All right, we got a question. So we got 2 questions for you, Brian. One is, um, yeah. So what are the implications with workflows regarding how patching currently works? If an analysis pass writes IL, would the patch submenu still work from? Well, so John, part of the answer is the patch submenu doesn't. When it works in high level IL, it's a bit of a coincidence. Like there are some things you can do safely from high level IL using the patch menu, and some that you can't. Um, and that's already kind of like a hard like.
Yeah, we would being able to rewrite VIL gives you that first step you need, but to truly be able to patch like large blocks or even functions, you would need a re-emitter to regenerate the ASM. You know,
Yeah, Josh asked a great question, which is, does the inliner save to bv.metadata or anything? How does it remember between between like sessions what's inlined? Like if you reload the file, how does it remember that, or is it like?
yeah, it's like early access. You think I like handled that yet? Come on, are you kidding me?
Yeah, look at that. It's proof of
But
concept.
no,
Proof of concept.
I've thought about it though, and
Yeah.
right now, right now, like I said, it's a prototype, and so it saves in just like a static variable, where you've inlined. So right now, it's not persistent. But the persistence is going to take the form of, hey, I've inlined this. The way inlining works is you pick a call site and you say inline a function at this call site, right? So you can go into low-level AL, find a call, right-click, inline at call site.
Yeah, I'm trying to find a
And
good example in
yeah.
something that takes. There we go. This looks like a good candidate, right? So let's. This function looks like it doesn't do a whole lot,
Okay.
but
So
it
you should be
sets,
able.
the argument to something like that. All right, let's see what this
This is
does.
high-level IL as well. You might want to drop down to low,
Yeah,
just because.
there we go. And so again, we can see from here. All right, so it's just checking and setting to some like data value. There's some, which is currently nothing, but presumably something else sets it. And this is BNLS, so who knows what. Oh, that's locale information, I think, it's putting in there. It stores
Yeah.
it into that pointer. And anyway. All right, so let's see.
Should right-click plugins, and there's.
So when I open this file, I turn
Did
on both of
you
my checkboxes, but I didn't see inliner in the list when I opened that file.
did you restart Binary Ninja?
I don't know that I did. Let's do that to make sure. There.
And you'll have to open the binary with
Oh yeah, with the
the
workflow enabled.
inliner.
Mm-hmm.
I plan on putting that in the core because it's such a useful feature.
There it is.
There it is. But right now it's a workflow because it's like a good use case.
Well, right now workflows are also off by default, sort of as the conservative choice, while we make sure, kind of let it bake a little bit on dev, right? So, all right, so let's, this is native. All right, so here's our, it was down here was the call here's the call that we saw before that just checks and sets. So we've got a call, we've got plugins. This looks longer. Optimizer inline function.
And so there you go.
Go to. Oh, that's interesting. Oh, it actually just jumps to there. Yeah, that's cool. So it makes it like it's essentially as a jump, uses that basic block, and then it's going to return back out. So if what does it look like if I
is this high level IO or what do you?
That was low level IO.
That was low. Okay.
The go to was low level IO. Oh, actually, hold on. I think that I just need. No, there it is. Oh, wait a minute. Was this
If you switch to graph view, it's so much nicer.
Yeah.
To be able to...
Well, and let me also open it up again, unmodified, so I have something to compare it to. And I think it was around the neighborhood of this.
Oh, okay. But when you're inlining, the data that you need to restore and save, it's saving by call site address is actually what I do now, but it's not enough to restore properly. All right. So you may want to inline once, and that's fine. But if you inline a call that's inside the call you just inlined, right, or you inline other calls in the same function, what you're going to end up doing is potentially modifying the basic blocks of the function. So what you need to do is you need to save the sequence as well.
Mm-hmm.
So you'll have a sequence of inlines applied, and they would be applied in that order. So you would apply one, generate your analysis, apply again, generate your analysis, and that would kind of guarantee that your inlining would work.
That makes sense. Yeah. It definitely is order sensitive, right? So you have to maintain maintain that.
Yeah, it's order sensitive. Yeah. So the address is taken in the context of with the order in which it's done. So.
Yeah. So those are I think two really like sort of powerful use cases, right? They're things that could not have been done beforehand. They're still very, very early examples.
Did you see the? Sorry.
No, go ahead. Yeah.
Did you see the function inlined? I might have missed it. Where
this was it before, and this is it after. So data equals 2, and then before we called this function, and then we continue just setting these values. And at this point, we're just, yeah, this is the if condition, set the variable. Yeah, this is it. This is the
Okay.
behavior of that function.
Okay, good. Because I wrote this code to handle multi-block functions,
And
and
it did. It
I
did.
tested it once,
All
and
right.
it's like,
Well,
so
good. It
I'm
still
curious.
works. Yeah, it still works. Because
Yeah,
like I said, on
so
this one, for example, here, let's go to this one and look in low level IL. Right? Yeah, exactly. So condition data if condition 0, right? That's the low level IL. And actually,
yeah,
I
nice.
think it would be more interesting to like find a good example at high level IL that looked, you could visually see more easily. So a little test case for that would probably be easier. But like it did. I saw the low level IL. Like this function's contents were put right here, and there were multiple basic blocks. So
Yeah, that's. I do have a good example where I inline a function, and inside the function that I inlined, an if condition was able to be collapsed to false, if false,
yeah, yeah,
right? Because it
because
was
you knew the
able to
argument
use,
basically.
yeah, it was able to use the data flow from the arguments passed to the function. So all of a sudden, you can simplify the inline function and then supposedly pass that data flow along in the current function. So
Yeah, yeah, and that's really the main point behind that inlining is that you don't want to you don't want to run your data flow analysis over everything, but being able to inline after the fact is a nice way to let users sort of cause things to be propagated from a data flow value set analysis perspective, and it gets you
yeah, yeah,
some cool stuff. Yeah, especially because again, when you do it at high level IL, that folding will just like disappear, right? You just won't see the things that are not possible um, in that version of the code. Yeah, highlighting the basic block should be pretty easy too. I agree, Josh,
yep,
Peter.
yep.
Um, yeah, that's exciting stuff. So looking forward to seeing what folks try with it. Um, we're
Oh,
yeah,
next
yeah,
steps, a
yeah,
couple
yeah.
more like instrumentation or and metrics for running our pipeline. Like if you want to know like timing wise how long a particular phase is taking, we'll be able to do that. Right? That fine-grained timing analysis will be useful. With our analysis broken up into a framework like this,
Yeah,
we can also have some kind of debugging capability. So you can
that's
run
right.
an activity in like a stop mode debugging, run a part of the analysis, inspect the binary view or the analysis output, and then if it looks kosher or not, and then go to the next activity and run it. And that will give you the insight to see incrementally what's kind of happening.
I mean, it's gonna be
Um,
super useful for us just as we're adding features. We'll be able to like much more quickly add analyses and improve analyses and see where things are going. But even the ability for like third parties to have the same insight, I think is definitely useful. We do have sort of power users that will have much better bugs as a result. They'll be like, this analysis pass breaks this test case. Here's the thing, and like it's just going to be so much easier for us to fix things. And also lets them rip out and change pieces, right? Like if they want to rewrite or do their own like alternate analysis or something, they'll have a lot
yeah,
more ability to see the before and after their activity runs. So yeah, that's another super cool feature. So
yep. And like also, this part of the API isn't finished yet, but being able to register new types of data um, with the core. I mean, you may need to add
yep.
new analyses, and the
And
thing is,
then the different activities want to pass new information on to other activities too, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, exactly. And so where do you publish your data? Well, you will have to register new data, make it available,
And that's got to be able to
and
pass across the API boundary from different languages. And yeah,
yeah,
Game might ask a great question, which is, are de-optimizations a possible use case for workflows? Could you theoretically unroll loops, or would that require too much look ahead?
yeah. I mean, you can do pretty much anything here. I mean, you can you could you said unroll loops or just unroll loops.
Just well, it says unroll loops. You can do either. I mean, technically, like if you can detect um the same basic block is repeated and you wanted to turn it into a for loop, like
Yeah,
you
you
could
could.
do that, or vice versa. You could take a for loop where the upper limit was fixed, and there's no like exit condition or other exit condition. Like you could totally just uh, loop those out.
Yeah, yeah. Another example is just detecting simple compiler idioms like for division.
Hmm.
Finding those magic numbers and then you know
Yeah, there's
making
actually
it.
there's a plugin right now, right? That there's a Python plugin that uses E3 and will try to solve and like optimize like weird operations like that. Like that could instead just replace the shifts and the multiplies with just, oh, it's actually just divide this constant and clean it up
Yeah,
completely.
yeah,
Although the Z3 one is a little slow, I will caveat with it probably wouldn't be something we'd ship out of the box the way it's a little expensive, but certainly a version of that that was either like more just a hard coded table of kind of constants and ran faster would be doable. And yeah, GameMind says, yeah, I mean, like if O3 decided that it's better to repeat instead of making a for loop, right? Like you could turn it back into a for loop if you wanted. Um, yeah, yeah. I mean, there's no reason you couldn't. Imagine a plugin where like you select a bunch of basic blocks where there's a loop that's repeated, and you right click and say replace with for loop, right? And it just says, oh, do I have multiple identical basic blocks? Okay, how many of them are? Turn them into a for loop with that counter, and clean it up. Um, that would be.
yeah. Another interesting case though for like just RE is unrolling loops. You could potentially unroll loops, and if you're able to remove a loop from code, and it's a simple, constrained loop, all of a sudden data flow might work a little bit better. So,
Yep.
because loops always cause trouble for that, we currently don't try to solve data flow through loops. You need Z3 and some other analysis to plug in. But yeah, a lot of opportunity. It's kind of neat.
Oh that's a great point, Josh. Replacing inlined memset or stir copy or anything like that, where things get inlined and have like XMM instructions, and it's really just a mem move or whatever memset. Like yeah, that would
Oh yeah,
that would be
yeah.
super nice too. No, yeah. So this is like the precursor to all sorts of really really nice optimizations and producing very very pretty kind of output. Um, Being able to like undo obfuscations, being able to like clean up decompilation. Yep, all sorts of cool stuff. So sweet. All right. Well, I think I'm gonna hop on to the third item on my to do list. Brian, thank you very much for joining. Excited to see more on this. Thanks for coming in to chat. If y'all have questions, I think Brian may still be on chat after this. So feel free to ask him in there. So take care, Brian. All right. I'm gonna head. People can still hear if you want to hang out. You can also listen and talk too. That's fine as well. But um, I am we're gonna do our sixth Binary Ninja Basic actually episode. We've gotten five of them. Two I'm behind on getting the thumbnails made for the thumbnail artist, and then uploading those videos. We'll get some more going. But so give me a second for me to clean up my desktop environment, and I'm gonna talk about ILs. So let me get that all cleaned up. And before I forget, I'm gonna turn off the chat, turn off my face cam. We're gonna switch back to desktop. Gotta make it a lot easier on the video editor. Have it all cleaned up and good to go. So any last questions before I move on about workflows? But if not, we're going to do a quick Binary Basics talking about ILs. So let's see. I think we got it all set. Hello and welcome to another Binary Ninja Basics. This episode is on the Binary Ninja Intermediate Language, or why does Binary Ninja have so many ILs? So first, let's just talk about what those ILs are and how you can learn more about them. So in the help menu, if you check the user guide information. It's going to pop you up in a web browser. The same information is also available online, so you can go to just docs.binary.ninja. But from this user guide, you can actually come over here to the BNIL overview. So Binary Ninja Intermediate Language is a family of intermediate languages, right? When you write a compiler, usually what happens is you'll kind of parse the source code, you'll turn it through some intermediate steps into, it's kind of like neutral, like bits of opcodes called intermediate representation or an intermediate language, and then it gets turned into machine code, the native instructions that are run. Sometimes there's multiple intermediate languages in that translation, and we do the opposite of that in Binary Ninja. We take machine code and we turn it back through several layers of optimization or de-optimization, depending on the case, and turn it into ILs. So you can see here on this diagram where we're talking about you take whatever the machine code you've got, we're going to turn it into first low-level IL, and then medium-level IL, and then high-level IL. That's actually a little bit of a simplification. The real architecture looks more like this, where there's these several other forms of it. For the most part, though, we really just focus on the kind of the basics of these three levels. And in fact, even in the Binary Ninja UI, you'll see that when you open a binary, we first pop you into high-level IL, which is our decompiler. And it looks a little bit like source code. That's what it's meant to be. We can hit space, and we can toggle into graph view. And from graph view, you'll notice that there's the different ILs available right from here. So we could start all the way just at disassembly. And of course, you can hit space again. These do exist in the linear view as well. And just like the graph view, because it currently shows the list here. Low-level IL, medium-level IL, and then high-level IL. And you'll notice each time I take one of these steps, the graph blocks get a little bit smaller. The idea is that each of these ILs are a little bit more simplified and a little bit more abstract and a little more higher level. So things like the stack, for example, disappear at medium level IL. So if we go to low level IL, we will see things where like the stack is actually, we're referencing variables off the stack. We're going to push or pop or subtract the stack pointer to make room for variables. And if we go to medium level IL, those all just go away. Oops, if I find my place. I haven't had that happen in a while. And then if we go to medium level IL, we see all of those variables actually just disappear, or at least those stack references disappear, because there are no such thing as the stack at medium level IL. Medium level IL just has variables, and those variables can live in registers, they can live in global memory, they can live, like they can be in multiple places, but they're just variables, because when you write C, you don't really specify where your variable lives. You just specify that you've got a variable, and then the compiler can actually move it different places depending on the situation. And so we see that at medium level IL, those are gone. We also notice that at medium level IL, things like call statements look actually like calls to that function. So we've actually got arguments and types, and we can see the value of that argument and the name of it and the type information. And so if I go to low level IL though, you'll notice in here, it's much closer to the native assembly. So a call is just a call and it has a destination. That's all it has. It doesn't have arguments. Things like that exist at the calling convention layer. And so those only appear when we move to medium level IL. You'll also notice that if statements are a little bit abstracted from what like the branches that exist in disassembly. So down in the raw disassembly, we're going to just jump if equal. Well, like jump if what is equal? And you have to know that the carry flag or the zero flag, in this case it's the zero flag, was set by a previous instruction and what that means in this context. But when you go up to the low level IL and also in the medium level IL, you'll see that now it actually just says if EAX equals 2. You don't actually have to understand the details of how the flags are calculated. You know that it's just going to compare EAX to 2. Same thing here at medium level IL. When you go to high level IL, it's going to be even simpler. And some of the other things that are happening are we're going to be folding variables. We're going to be discarding unused variables. We might be combining nesting if statements. We may take, for example, if a function call happens and is immediately used as the output. Here's a great example. In a condition, we're just going to fold that in line inside of the same condition. If I go back to medium level IL, you'll notice that those are actually still separated back out. So first we take the output of the call and then we do the comparison. But since that's the only place that's used, in high level IL, that gets simplified even further. We also have constructs at high level IL like for loops and higher level control flow things that are recovered. But every time you take a step up, you do introduce some chance for errors in analysis. This is sort of inherent in the problem of decompilation. And so the really nice thing about Binary Ninja is that it exposes all of these different layers. So you can see what it looks like without knowing the details of the architecture. You don't have to know x86 to read this low-level IL pseudocode. You don't have to understand those details to read medium-level IL. And then by the time you get to high-level IL, you're looking at something that looks, again, just a lot more like source code, especially when we go to our linear view and we're just viewing it in a sort of straight listing as opposed to the graph view. If you want to work with all of the ILs from an API perspective, they're all, of course, exposed. So you can not only access things like the current LLIL and get an instance of this function at its low-level IL layer, but you've got the high-level IL as well. You can operate on instructions. You can query the value of variables using our possible value set analysis. In fact, most of our program analysis APIs are really going to happen when you're querying the IL variables as opposed to anything on the assembly. Most automation and most plugins and built on Binary Ninja, you want to be using the ILs. One thing to note is that high-level IL, for example, actually is actually has a, excuse me, high-level IL actually has a root node. It is also an abstract syntax tree. So again, just like your compiler doesn't reverse when you start with source code, Binary Ninja will take this IL and turn it back into this tree-based AST, which is what gets turned into essentially the source code view, and it has separate lines. And you can actually walk that AST using the root node here, for example, in current high-level IL. That's it right now. There's a lot more we could talk about our intermediate languages, but for just a quick overview, thanks for hanging with us for this Binary Ninja Basics. Okay, that's good. I have no idea what the time was on that. We're trying to keep our basics to a short time period. I am not going to do any other stuff, I think, this week. Originally, I was maybe going to do some more RE afterwards, but I think we're pretty good. Josh, I would have been totally fine with you asking more. Now's the time to ask it or ask in Slack later. But yeah, thanks everybody for hanging out, especially those of you that already know the ILs and hung out for that one. I'm trying to be disciplined about recording every couple of weeks one of the Binary Ninja IL segments. Excuse me, the Binary Ninja Basics segments. Because that I think helps out a lot of new people, and we can say, look, here's 5-minute videos you can view on the topics that you're interested in, and so we're trying to do that. But thanks again, everybody, for chilling. If you got any last questions, feel free to catch us in Slack, or if you want to ask them now, give you a minute. But all right, oh, here we go. Yeah. That's a great question, Marcus. So the sort of like magic helper, we're calling it Sidekick. That's the name to use. That might change, but Sidekick is our set of like some magic machine learning and some other cool stuff that will automatically cluster functions and create structures and name things. It has a whole bunch of interesting properties. It turns out it also, I think, has some function recognizer stuff that it does now too. So it's got a lot of interesting capabilities. We're still trying to figure out exactly how that's going to get used. One of the things that we're aiming towards is that may actually be shipped with Enterprise. So we're also working on getting Enterprise. The collaboration server itself is, I think, in a useful, usable state, and so we're working on some of the rest of the like logistics with the Enterprise server, getting like the floating license piece implemented in it, and so we're probably going to ship the some form or some of the Sidekick type functionality in Enterprise. That's kind of one of the current thoughts. We may also either have like a public instance, or we may also, we're still trying to figure out beyond that what's going to happen with it. But it is, work is still continuing on it, and it's I haven't used it in a while lately, but we should definitely check it out on stream and just see. Maybe we should have Tim come out and talk about it. It's a good suggestion to see what the latest of it is. But yeah, it's a great question. Anybody else got any questions? I want to make a note of that before I forget. Cool. All right. Well, thanks again, everybody, for chilling. Good to see y'all. We'll catch back with you in 2 weeks. Take care.